This is the iconic Tiger II, the German heavy tank that has more names than you can shake a stick at. It's been called, incorrectly, the King Tiger, the Königstiger, the Royal Tiger, the Panzerkampfwagen Tiger Alf B, the Panzer VI Alf B, and its correct designation, the Sonderkraftfahrzeug 182. Wow, more names than you can possibly think of. In fact, I think this tank has more names than any other tank ever developed. Now, in the real world, as I said, this is an iconic tank. This tank put the fear of God into the Americans in the Ardennes. But what is it like in Blitz? Well, I received via my YouTube channel a request from a chap called Fish Tank WOT if I could kindly assist him in giving him some advice on how to handle and play the Tiger II, because he's just recently purchased it. And I haven't hesitated. I thought, yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. So that's what this video is all about. We're going to have a look at the Tiger II and possibly look at some hints and tips on how you should handle this beastie. Hello again everybody and welcome back to Fujitsu Blitz, and as I said, today we're looking at the Tiger II, the tank that has more names than any other tank that has ever been produced, funnily enough. Now, this is a real tank. This tank actually existed. It came into production by the Germans towards the end of the war as a successor to the Tiger I, and boy, is it a heavy tank. Really, and it's big, really big. And now that's a picture of an actual Tiger II that I personally took in the Kubinka Tank Museum in Russia. Now, I've seen Tiger IIs before. There's a Tiger II with a Henschel turret in Bovington that I've seen. This thing is impressive. It really is. These tanks in real life were very impressive, and I can only think that in the real world, they were mega imposing. So, have Blitz done this iconic tank any justice? Don't forget, this tank saw action in Normandy, it saw action on the Eastern Front, and more dominantly and more famously in the Ardennes. Now, if it wasn't for the fact that it kept breaking down and the Germans couldn't produce enough of them, this tank really could have been a game changer. So, have Wargaming, and Blitz for that fact, done this tank any justice? Have they honoured its reputation of being a fearful German heavy tank that hardly anything could pen towards the end of the war, or is it a bit of a damp squib? Now, first off, I absolutely adore this tank. It's one of my top 10. I'm not the best player, and I have a win rate in it of around 60% after quite a few games in it, and I have got a mastery in it and all that jazz. And I do actually like this tank. I love this tank. I think it's a really good tank. Plus, it's a Tiger II, and it's iconic. And there's another Tiger II. But I don't think personally it's impressive. I don't think it dominates the battlefield, and it's a tricky tank. Once you get used to it, however, and once you know its little foibles, it is a fantastic tank. But it is a difficult tank to get to grips with, and it's certainly a difficult tank to drive. And it's not the only Tier 8 German heavy out there in Blitz. There are 3 others. There is the recently introduced VK100-01, there's the VK4502A, and the Löwe, all 3 of which are concept tanks. None of them actually made it off the drawing board. This Tier 8 is the only tank that really existed. All the others don't. None of them do. And this is the only tank that actually saw any type of action within the German heavy line at Tier 8. So it's quite disappointing, to be honest with you, to realise that this tank is, in theory, the worst tank in the German tech tree at Tier 8. I mean, on paper, the Löwe is much better, followed by the VK45. Then it's a close toss-up between the Tiger II and the VK100-01P. And the 100-01P sort of pips the Tiger to the post, on the grounds that it can have the ability to dish out 400 damage if you put the big gun in it, and it's got really great armour. So, this real tank that really existed and really saw action is sort of not really given the honour that it deserves. Although I understand there's been a true representation, and obviously the others didn't exist, so it's pretty difficult to represent those. But what's it actually like to drive? Well, as I said, it's a tricky little tank. Now, as you've seen here, we've done hardly any damage really. We've done 875, we haven't killed anything, and now we're going to go up against the AMX CDC and a VK4502B. And we're going to struggle with the VK, but we're going to give it a good go. Now, the thing about this tank is its armor. It's weird, to be perfectly honest with you. It looks solid. It's not solid. It really isn't. The gun on it is fantastic, and you know, I've just bounced 310 there, and I'll get to the bounces in a bit. The gun is fantastic. It's got a relatively decent reload. It deals out 310 damage. It's got a good pen, and it's pretty accurate. The tank itself is very maneuverable. It will get almost 40 kilometers out of it, and is pretty good in that respect. But, as I said, the armor is pretty strange, so let's have a closer look at this armor. Now, this is the armor inspector where it's facing an IS-6. It's another tier 8 tank in its class, and as you can see, wow, it's very green. You have to angle it a lot, and if you don't, boy, you're going to get penetrated. So let's cut away to a clip whereby here we are, we've got virtually all the red team around us, and I'm going to try and show you how to bounce this thing. Now I've got a VK100-01P there. I'm going to try and put one into him. It bounces. He's pretty trolly armor in certain respects. So you've got to jiggle and move this thing, this Tiger II, to get the maximum out of it. Now I haven't got the maximum out of it here. I'm going to try and get one into the Tiger P. He's going to hit me. I've bounced nothing yet. So now I'm reevaluating. And I need to get this tank, I need to take a shot off somewhere, and I now need to try and angle it in such a way that this greenish, yellowish tank that you saw on the armor inspector becomes red. There we go, we've just bounced 400. And look at the angle, it's so flat and so oblique. You've got to put it at these strange, quirky angles, because if you don't, you'll bounce nothing. Everything will just go through you. And you've sort of, there we go, bounce another 200. So now we bounce 620. And this is what you've got to do with this tank. You've got to angle it in such a way that it becomes a really weird looking target. And that's what you've got to do. And it's not easy, and it takes some getting used to. And if you can't angle this tank, trust me, you're gonna suffer, because everything can pen it. Literally everything can pen this tank. So you've got to learn how to side scrape it effectively and how to angle it effectively. If you're caught in the open, guys, you're going to get hurt. There's no two ways about it. You've got to try and have cover around you, either a dead tank or a building or anything. Anything that you can side scrape off. But it's not just about side scraping. It's about getting the angle correct. Because if you do it too much the one way, then the whole side becomes green. If you do it too much the other way, then the front glacis plate in its entirety becomes green. It's really an art, not a science, this one. And it's, you know, you're going to have to do a lot of trial and error to work out how to angle it. And as you can see here, you're constantly jiggling, constantly trying to get a decent angle. As you see here, like, you're constantly jiggling the tank. And I didn't bounce that one because I jiggled it too much. And now, I mean, the gun is fantastic, don't get me wrong. And this is the thing. And now, unfortunately, I've got another Tiger II coming right behind me. So now I've got to turn and try and jiggle with him. And I've got tanks over there, and my rear's not good. So he's not jiggling as well as I am, and we're both not bouncing. And as you can see, I'm trying to jiggle, and he's trying to jiggle, and we're trying to cut these angles down as, you know, do this way, go that way, try and get close to him, don't get another bounce. It's so difficult to angle it correctly. When it works, you'll bounce. When it doesn't work, you'll be penetrated. It's as simple as that, and it's a really tough tank. And in the end, I get wasted by something else at the same time as the Tiger II in that one. And this is the thing with this tank, guys. It's really tricky to drive. And you really need to understand how the armor on this thing works. The gun side and the mobility side is straightforward. The gun will generally penetrate most things, and it's super accurate. The mobility, it's pretty fast for a tier 8 heavy. The biggest issue it has is, whilst it looks solid, it's not. You put it in the wrong position, you're going to get hurt. Simple fact of life. And if you're caught out in the open, then you're not going to be that long in the battle. Really, you're not. Because if everybody zooms in on you, regardless of your angles, you're just going to get penetrated. That's why this tank is so tricky. But what about its upsides? Well, as I've said, the gun is fantastic. It really is. But this is a tank that the gun is not going to carry it. It really is not going to carry it. Now, I've put this video, this replay in to prove this point. It's to prove the point that the gun will not carry you. Well, we get a nice bounce, but then we get penetrated, as you see, because our angle is not good enough to the Type 61. But there's a Panther 2, Jag Panther 2 up there, and that's what I'm bouncing. Then I bounce another one because I angle, but I get penetrated by the Panther. So the gun's not going to carry you. We've bounced 800, and we've knocked out 577, and we've lost, almost 600 hit points. This is not looking good, and this is the problem with the Tiger II. If you're out in the open, you're going to get hurt. You can't angle to everybody. It just doesn't work this way. So you've got to be really careful with it. And, okay, look at this. I mean, the gun is super, super great. It really is super great. You're going to pen most things, to be fair. There are only a few things you will bounce. But there you go. Look, I mean, 2 shots into me. I'm now down to 423 hit points. I've taken 1,100 damage. I've bounced 800, but I've lost, over 1,000 hit points already. Okay, this is a tier 9 game, realistically, but that's not the point. This gun will not carry this tank. Now I've got an IS-8 come up to support me. This is lovely because, he's got much better armor than I have. And this is the thing with this tank. And don't forget, that turret is huge. And the turret is not particularly well armored. Now, I'm going to go in to try and have... Oh, and look, there's a blimmin' Kemp 70. Get another great shot into him, but I actually take a hit. And this is the thing with the Tiger II, guys. It's meant to be a frontline heavy, but you're going to get hurt, and eventually we get wasted. Okay, we got a second class there, but that's not the point. I mean, we got caught out in the open, realistically, and we went back to garage far too early. Okay, we won the game, not because of anything I did or anything the tank did, but because the rest of the team played well. Yes, okay, we get a second class, which means we played the tank relatively decently. Maybe. Anyway, here we go again, same map, another tier 8, tier 9 game. We are the lowest tier. So you would think, oh, we're going to struggle. So I'm going to try something different. I am not going to go down this time. I'm going to go to where all the cover is. I'm going to cap B, and I'm going to hang around these houses, because this is where I can use the tank's armor to the maximum effect. I can angle here. Okay, I'm never going to angle again. I popped up too soon there, and I get one in my snoz for sticking my drive wheel out. So I'm not going to be doing that again anytime soon. I'm going to be sitting here. Oh, look, we got an ISU 152 coming up from behind us. Let's try and get around the corner, angle up, stick one into him, try and get away, because he's going to really hurt us. Wait for the reload. He's trying to cap. He's now down. Can we get anything into him? Of course we can. We can take him out with a pretty good roll. So here we go again. Stick back on the B. Now we've got the Patton coming in. Patton wants a bit of us. We're jiggling away, trying to get these angles right. Get a nice one in on the Patton. Jiggle back, move back, jiggle away again. Wait for a clear movement, and then move. And this is how you need to play the Tiger 1. This is what you need to do, unfortunately. You are not as frontline as you think. Oh, God, look, VK100-01P. He's just a big red tomato to me, and I'm not really going to get anything into him. And I've got to think about what I'm going to do next. Now, I know there's a tank over on the left-hand side. I think it's a waffle tractor. I'm not sure. No, it's not. It's a Rumbivit. And look, he's just taken 600-700 out of me. Ouch. And now I'm going to play with VK100. Oh, stick it onto Pramo. I can penetrate the lower glacis plate. Can we do... Now, I'm using this dead tank as cover to try and angle around. And look at my angles. Look at the angles. I'm jiggling and jiggling, trying to get angles on it trying to get angled up, it doesn't work because I'm just not in the right position for this tank. Bounced him. It's not looking good. VK is going to hurt me. At this stage of the game, you're thinking, oh, Fujit, you're going home. But I get the angle right that time. Look at the angle it was at. Then I get a bounce. I get a 310 bounce from the VK, and now he's in trouble all of a sudden. Put my Premo back on, stick one into his nose, he's gone. So we've bounced what, just over 1,000. We've done just under 2,000 damage. We've bounced just over 300. Oh, and the game's over. That's much better playing the Tiger 1, and we get a first class for our efforts, and that's a much better way to play that tank. Anyway, this is the last game, and basically what you need to understand is trying to get these angles. They're really flat. If you can get the angles right, you will bounce. If you stick this thing in the open or you go too far into the front line, you're going to get penned. It's not the tank you think it is. It's not the domineering or intimidating tank that it's famous for, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, I said earlier the gun's accurate. Oops, a poor shot by me. So now what I'm going to try and do, I'm going to try and show you in this last game some of the angles and a bit of fun at the end. And there you go. See the angle and you're going to bounce. And this is the thing. You've got to learn how to angle this thing correctly. And once you've understood how to angle it, you will bounce a lot of things. But you need things around you. Out in the open, you're very vulnerable. Out in the open, you're just not going to be able to survive multiple penetrations, I'm afraid. Yeah, it's just that straightforward, guys. You know, when you're in a tier 8, tier 9 game, most of the things have got 300 plus damage. They will generally all penetrate you, and you're going to be going back to the garage. So try and find somewhere, a dead tank, a rock, a house, anything that you can sort of semi-side scrape off with this very flat, acute angle, and you'll be fine. Wait for your shots and pick your shots. As I said, it's a shame really, because this is an iconic tank. This is a real tank from World War II that did absolutely dominate towards the end, apart from the fact it broke down a lot and there weren't many of them. But during the Ardennes offensive, they really did, you know, put a lot of fear into the Allies. And the Allies' tanks, the Shermans and the Churchills and the likes, really had trouble penetrating this thing. Wow, we now bounced 800, but we've only dished out 500 damage, which is a shame. And this is the thing, guys. I mean, you know, this is why I think this tank has not been done much justice by Wargaming. But don't get me wrong, I absolutely love this tank. If you know how to play it, and if you can get used to it, it is an amazing tank. It really is. It is so much fun to go out on the battlefield and play it. Well, it is for me. I love it. But like I said, it's a tricky tank, and you know, it's not a forgiving tank. Far, far from it. Anyway, we're coming to the end of the game now. This is the IS-5. He's been giving me problems all day, and I've been giving him problems. I've bounced most things. And I suggest you don't try this with the Tiger 2 of your own. He's going to do, get out of there quickly. I've sort of know where he is. I'm going to just jump on his head. That's it. Poor, poor IS-5. What to do? Like I said, I suggest you don't try that at home. Good fun, very lucky, and, you know, done for the reason that it just seemed a good idea at the time. Anyway, guys, Fish Tank WOT, I hope this was useful. It's a tricky tank, mate, but it's an enjoyable tank, and I love it. I'm not the best player in Blitz. I keep telling everybody that. There are other videos out there that tell you how to play the Tiger 2 equally as important as and informative as this video, and I strongly recommend that you check those out as well, because they say pretty much the same thing. Learn how to effectively side scrape. And on that, I'm going to leave you with this poor IS-5 being crushed from above by a Tiger 2, which is always good fun. Anyway, guys, please send me your replays of you going out in a Tiger 2 or any other tank for that matter of fact to fujitsblitz@gmail.com. Please comment below, please subscribe, and let's grow this community. Let's show everybody out there how we can play the game. Let's improve everybody's game style. And until the next time, stay safe, have fun, and happy tanking. Hey, I've been Fujit and you've been great. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And I'd love if you would press subscribe. Who knows, we can do some more. By all means, drop me comments, tell me what can be improved, and tell me what you'd like to see. I'd really love to know. Anyway, until the next time, guys, happy tanking.